Namaskar. The Janata Party years March 1977 to January 1980. The Janata Party contesting under the symbol of Chakra, Hal, Dhar and its allies won a massive majority in the 1977 elections. Morarji Desai, the first non-Congress Prime Minister. There were three contenders for the post of Prime Minister, namely Morarji Desai, Charan Singh and Jagjeevan Ram. It was left to Acharya Kripalani and Jayaprakash Narayan to decide who would become Prime Minister. Their choice was Morarji Desai, who duly took the oath as Prime Minister on March 23, 1977. Charan Singh, Minister of Home and the latter of Finance, and Jagjeevan Ram, of Defence Minister, were Deputy Prime Minister. Fresh state assembly elections. It was felt that the election had expressed its dissatisfaction with the Congress, and hence the states under Congress rule should also have fresh elections. These states assemblies were dissolved and elections were held in June. As a result of the elections, the Janata Party was able to form governments in the Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Haryana, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Himachal Pradesh. In Punjab, the Janata Party and the Akali Dal formed a coalition government. In Tamil Nadu, the AIADMK swept the elections and its leader M.G. Ramachandran formed the government. His government was not interested in confrontational politics with the centre. It was also to be the pioneer in launching the midday meal scheme to encourage children, especially girls, to attend school. In West Bengal, a coalition of left parties won a good majority, with the CPM doing exceptionally well, and Jyoti Basu became the chief minister. The left government was to undertake agrarian reforms, from which a large number of poor peasants benefited. In Jammu and Kashmir, Sheikh Abdullah had led the Congress government consequent to an accord with Indira Gandhi before the emergency. Now the Morarji Desai government dissolved the assembly and initiated fresh polls to install a mandated government in the state. Sheikh Abdullah revived his party, the National Conference, and in the first truly fair and free polls in the state since independence, his party won a comfortable majority. However, the divide between the Muslim-dominated Valley and the Hindu-dominated Jammu Kashmir became apparent, with the National Conference not doing so well in Jammu. New President of India, with a hold on most states, the Janata Party was able to get its candidate Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy elected as the President of India in June 1977. The presidential election was negotiated by the death of Fakhruddin Ali ahead in February of that year. Downside of the Janata and rise of Congress side. The Janata government began with full popular support and high hopes, but cracks started showing, with marked differences on ideological and political lines coming up. What is more, the concentration of some leaders on average against Indira Gandhi worked against the party and revived the Congress leaders' popularity. In combination, these two factors worked towards the fall of the first non-Congress government at the center. Futile commissions. Various commissions of inquiry were set up to look into alleged malpractices and wrongdoing by Indira Gandhi and her son. The most famous of these was set up under the chairmanship of Justice J.C. Shah, a retired judge of the Supreme Court, to inquire into the atrocities and excesses of the emergency. Most of the allegations, however, could not be proved, and few convictions could be obtained. The cases against Indira Gandhi could not be maintained as there was lack of evidence. Belchi and Indira's masterstroke. Then in May 1977 came the violence in Belchi, a village in Bihar. A group of Harijans were burned to death by a mob from the upper castes, allegedly over a dispute over land. It may be noted here that the social setup in India was undergoing a transformation. There was a rise to prominence of the backward castes, who later came to be called the other backward classes, who had got rich in the wake of the Green Revolution and the White Revolution, and brought land from the forward castes and had elected representatives to further their cause. Unfortunately, they also took this as a license to act as they wanted. The Harijans worked on these lands, but they were at the receiving end of much abuse from the landlords. With the spread of education and scope of political representation, the younger among the Harijans especially were no longer ready to meekly accept the ill treatment handed out. They too gave a fight. There was thus a spurt in caste violence. The Beluchi incident was exploited to her own disadvantage by Indira Gandhi. She travelled to Belchi in the last bid on an elephant, as there was no clear path on which to even walk to reach the village, and showed her sympathy for the affected people. Besides showing up the Janta government as callous to the poor and marginalized, Indira Gandhi's action built up her own image as a friend of the poor and the Harijans, even as her party members were made to realize that she was the leader to follow if power was to be regained. Indira makes gains. Charan Singh's single-minded founding of Indira Gandhi and her son Sanjay worked in her favor. Indira Gandhi was arrested on some vague corruption charges and kept in police custody for a day, after which the magistrate released her, rejecting the charges as unsubstantial. She was now very much back in the game and made speeches critical of the government. The Congress split once again in January 1978. The group led by Indira Gandhi becoming the Congress I for Indira. Her party won the Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh state assembly elections, defeating the Janata Party as well as the rival Congress Party. She herself contested elections from Chikmagalur in Karnataka and won a seat to the Lok Sabha. Now a parliamentary committee reported on Indira Gandhi having misled the House on the Maruti enterprise, and the House said she should go to jail. She was disqualified from her seat. However, she won again from Chikmagalur. Indira Gandhi was now seen as a victim of a witch hunt, and her popularity grew. Differences within the Janata Party and fall of Morarji's government. The Janata Party was in the meanwhile disintegrating, with growing factionalism and personal rivalries overshadowing the efforts at governance. The antagonism between Morarji Desai and Charan Singh, who was not satisfied with his second number position in the cabinet, grew to such an extent that Desai was forced to dismiss Charan Singh as well as Raj Narayan from his office in mid-1978. Charan Singh retaliated by organizing a farmers' protest march to Delhi in December 1978. In an effort to keep peace, Charan Singh was recalled to the cabinet by Desai in February 1979 and allotted the finance portfolio as well as the post of deputy prime ministership. Things, however, failed to move smoothly, and the divide was getting deeper, with two sides being formed: the socialists siding with Charan Singh and the Jan Sangh with Desai. There was further the issue of dual membership of the Jan Sangh members who maintained their ties with the RSS. They would not give up the membership of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh RSS, as they considered it to be merely a cultural entity. The socialists and Charan Singh's party walked out of the coalition, reducing the government to a minority. Desperate bids to get support from the Congress factions did not succeed, and the Morarji Desai government resigned in July 1979. Charan Singh, the Prime Minister who never faced Parliament, in a brazen show of opportunism, Charan Singh negotiated with his erstwhile bitter enemies Indira Gandhi to get support to form a government by him. With a letter of support from the Congress, and Charan Singh was able to convince the president that he could have a majority in the Lok Sabha. He was sworn as Prime Minister towards the end of July, subject to proving the confidence of the House. So he gave the Prime Minister's speech from the rampart of the Red Fort on Independence Day, but never got to face the Parliament. Just a day before the confidence vote, Indira Gandhi withdrew her support to his government. Charan Singh had not accepted Indira Gandhi's demand that the special courts set up to prosecute her to her be disbanded. Charan Singh had no option but to resign. The president explored other options of government formation, but none was feasible. In the end, Lok Sabha was dissolved and fresh elections called for. Charan Singh remained caretaker prime minister till elections could take place. Fresh Lok Sabha elections and end of Janata Party rule. Lok Sabha elections took place in January 1918. The parties in the fray were the Congress I, Congress U, Lok Dal, the new party floated by Charan Singh, and the Socialists, and the Janata, now consisting primarily of Jana Sangha and of the old congressmen such as Jagjeevan Ram and Chandra Sekhar. The presence of the CPM and CPI was only in the West Bengal and Kerala. The Janata Party campaigned against on the leaned again on the planks of threats to democracy, and Charan Singh spoke of power to the farmers, but this time around Indira Gandhi ignored ideology and astutely focused on an issue close to the people's heart at the time, namely the offer of a government that could govern the people, tired of the Janta's lack of governance and incessant mutual quarrels, gave their mandate in favor of the Congress led by Indira Gandhi, also thus endorsing the view that hers was the real Congress. The Janata Party split into various parties like Janata Dal, Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, and Samajwadi Party. It is legacy of the Janata rule. Short-lived, its rule might have been marked by strife and contradictions within, but the Janata Party government contributed something valuable to the Indian polity, even as its negative aspects cannot be ignored. It was the first non-Congress government at the center since India's independence. It was also the first coalition in a dispensation at the central level, restoration of democratic rights. An unforgettable contribution of the Janata Party government was the restoration of democracy and civil rights in the country. The Janata government was prompt to take steps to reverse the draconian measures of the emergency. The medieval censorship was removed and several controversial executive decrees were repealed. It repaired the constitution from the emergency depredations and revived open parliamentary practice through its consultative style when repairing the constitution, and restored the independence of the judiciary. As Grenville Austin points out, arbitrary powers of the executive were curbed and the power of an independent judiciary restored. Under the supervision of the law minister Shanti Bhushan, amendments were devised to nullify the democracy throttling steps of the 42nd Amendment. The 43rd and 44th Amendments to the Constitution were landmarks in India's political history. The 43rd Amendment passed in 1977 deleted Article 31D, which gave powers to Parliament to curtail even legitimate trade union activity under the guise of preventing anti-national activities ratified by more than half of the states as required. The Parliament Amendment gave back to the states the legislative powers to make appropriate provisions for anti-national activities consistent with the fundamental rights. The power of the judiciary to invalidate laws was restored. The high courts were given the power of going into the question of constitutional validity of central laws, thus making it possible for persons living in distant places to seek justice without having to come all the way to the Supreme Court. The 44th Amendment of 1978 made the promulgation of emergency more difficult than it was. It would now require the written advice of the cabinet and not the Prime Minister alone before the President and could proclaim emergency. The proclamation would have to be approved within 1 month of the reassembly of Parliament, and that too by a 2/3 majority. Its renewal would need a parliamentary vote on its every 6 months. Furthermore, the term internal disturbances was replaced with armed rebellion as a cause for imposing emergency. A special session of the Lok Sabha could be called 1/10 of its members requesting the President for the purpose of revoking the emergency. Such a revocation could be achieved by simple majority. It was also asserted that Article 20 and Article 21 would never be suspended even during emergency, while other fundamental rights would not get suspended automatically but would require a separate order by President. All important the emergency provisions could be changed in courts. The amendment restored the term of the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies to the original terms of 5 years. The courts also got back the power to decide the election disputes of the President, Prime Minister, Speaker, etc. The President would now be allowed to return the advice tendered by the Cabinet once for a review. The amendment deleted Article 31, the right to property, from the list of fundamental rights to become just a legal right. Economic contradictions The Janata Party had no single ideology. Its members were a mix of veteran socialists, trade unionists, and pro-business leaders. It made the achievement of major economic reforms difficult. With Charan Singh in a prominent position, it was inevitable that agriculture and the rural sector got importance. The sixth five-year plan, meant for 1978 to 1983, but also curtailed due to the change of regime in 1980, launched by the government after curtailing the fifth plan, aimed to boost agricultural production and rural industries. It was called the rolling plan. In a rolling plan, planning is at the three levels. First, for the current year as decided by the annual budget. Second, a plan for a slightly longer fixed period, which allows flexibility to flexibility to change sorry which allows flexibility to change my priority which allows flexibility to change priorities as per the need of the economic and political situation. And the third, a perspective plan, which is 14, 15 or 20 years. There are no fixed dates and the targets can be revised every now and then as per the annual reviews, which are very important. While flexibility is a plus point with this type of planning, a major drawback is that targets are difficult to achieve as they could keep changing. With the fiery socialist George Fernandez in charge of the Industries Ministry, the aim was to promote economic self-reliance and indigenous industries, and if need be, even expel the American multinational companies such as Coca-Cola and IBM, which indeed was accomplished. Such policies led to a reduction in foreign investment. However, the problems of resurging inflation, fuel shortages, unemployment, and poverty could not be effectively addressed, and as no effective alternative economic policy was evolved to deal with the economic situation, the government failed to work on the radical reforms the party had promised in the run-up to the elections. There were some bright spots. The Food for Work program, launched in April 1977, advised some of the stocks of food grains with the government to be used for employment as wages in kind to workers in rural areas who helped to build roads and water ponds during the season when agricultural employment was low. Madhu Dandawate, also a socialist but on the moderate side, undertook some important reforms of the railways, of which he was in charge. It was he who initiated steps to reduce the corruption in ticket reservation. He initiated steps to repair worn-out tracks. He did a huge favor to the travelers in the sleeper second-class compartments. It's directed that the hardware wooden seats be cushioned with 2 inches of foam. Foreign relations. There was a belief that the Janata government would move closer to the west to compensate for the Indira Gandhi tilt towards the Soviet Union. The Janata government certainly tried to improve ties with the US, with the result that the US President Jimmy Carter became the first US president to visit India after Eisenhower. Efforts were made to improve trade and expand cooperation in science and technology. However, the Janata government made it clear that it would practice genuine non-alignment, so maintained cordial relations with the USSR too, with Morarji Desai and Vajpayee, the foreign minister, paying visits to Moscow, representing India at the UN Conference on Nuclear Disarmament. Vajpayee continued with India's early policy and spoke in defense of India's nuclear program and its refusal to sign the non-proliferation treaty on the grounds of discrimination. One of the first in foreign relations of the Janata government was the effort at normalization of ties with the People's Republic of China. In 1979, Vajpayee became the highest-ranking Indian official so far to visit Beijing to meet the Chinese leaders. Diplomatic ties were established between India and China. Ties had been suspended since the 1962 war. The two sides agreed to establish regular dialogue to resolve long-standing territorial disputes, expand trade, and improve border security. Social changes and movements. The late 1970s observes Shamchandra Guha saw a churn in political and social terms. Politicians seemed to have abandoned ideology in favor of expediency, and the polity had become fragmented on the social level. The sections of society that had been oppressed for so long began to assert themselves, and this led to a certain amount of social turmoil. There were new social movements such as the feminist and the environmentalist. The older movements such as the trade union movement spread out into fresh areas such as mines, and there were campaigns for equal wages for men and women, education, health, and safety. The liberated press wrote at length and on a wide range of subjects, and technology in the form of the new offset printing presses helped disseminate the location of newspapers and journals. Investigative journalism began with its lens on crime and corruption. Leadership expanded, especially in small towns, and did journalism in Indian languages as a civil liberties movement became active. The social class in the OBCs had reaped economic power through the Green Revolution and the land reforms, and also gained political power. The socialists and the Lok Dal were mostly formed of the OBCs. They now sought a space in the administrative system. The Janata government in January 1979 appointed the Second Backward Classes Commission, popularly known as the Mandal Commission, after its chairman Bindeshwari Prasad Mandal, a former chief minister of Bihar. Its remit was to examine whether reservation in jobs for OBCs should be there in the central administrative system. Dhanyavad. Thank you so much.